Our flight is delayed, so we're walking around Turkish airport. Trying to see if we can find something to kind of eat, because we were supposed to go at 2 a.m. Now we won't go until 5 a.m., which means we have a 8-hour layover. Maybe we'll do a recording where I'll actually ask Cheshire how he feels about it, but I think we're both a bit tired and cranky. We're in Turkish airport. It's very big.
Istanbul airport.
Istanbul. Istanbul.
It's very lively. It's so late at night. It's cool. You don't get that Heathrow Gatwick.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's nice. It's very pretty.
It's so expensive. It's true what I said about Turkey. Like a slice of pizza is now like €7, which is crazy. In England, that's a small whole pizza.
Yeah. Apparently the inflation rate in Turkey is 900%.
Yeah.
I feel very bad for the people living here.
Yeah.
But a beautiful airport. Keep you updated. Maybe when we find a meal. Maybe when we get into a flight. Maybe when we land. Yeah, we're looking for that authentic doner.
I mean, I don't know how authentic it could be in an airport.
That's true.
It might be.
It might be. Never know. Never know.
Oops.
Until then, here are some shoes. And we walked around in the airport for a very long time. We kept checking on our flight. I think we were hoping beyond hope that it wouldn't be delayed by 3 hours, but we weren't that lucky.
And here's a statue
Of some guy. And yeah, we took a nap on these. They weren't the best. Flew out. And then we came to Ho Chi Minh Airport. And this is our Uber on our way to the hotel. As you can see, it's quite late. Was it 3.5 hours later than we were supposed to be there?
Yeah, we got there at 7. But this is using Grab, which we would highly recommend when you're in a Southeast Asian country. Grab is just really amazing.
It's basically their version of like Uber and Bolt. I don't think they actually have Uber and Bolt there, so you need the Grab app. It's pretty easy to download, but I would still recommend do it before you get to the airport, because if you don't really have internet connection, it's nice to have it all ready and not have to spend time setting it up, because you still need to connect your bank card and everything. And this is our hotel. We went to Bon Ami, which was a little bit outside of the city center. It was a beautiful hotel.
And now we just walk around near our hotel looking for something to eat.
As mentioned, we got there in the nighttime, and we're the sensible type of travelers, I think, when we go to East Asian countries, that we try to sleep on the plane so we minimize the jet lag so we can be in the day rhythm of the place we're going to. So we were about ready to have dinner at this point. And luckily for us, there was this street food place quite close to our hotel. I think it was a 20-minute walk or something.
The place was called, I think, Ben... I can't pronounce it. Wait.
Yeah, like Ben Street Foods or something, Ben Tan something. It had foods from a lot of different places.
Ooh, broken rice is good.
It was Ben, and I can't pronounce the last four letters, NGHE street food. And it was cool. We had like food from not all over the world, but like really Southeast Asian food. I mean, yeah, they had tacos, which was a bit random, but like, and also had Greek food for some reason. But yeah, Vietnamese food, Thai food, Indian food. I think maybe also Cantonese food.
You know, I think the reason they have tacos and Greek is because they're starting to get more tourists in Vietnam, and they're like, let's cater to the Westerners. Here you can see just some selections of what they sold, like food at every corner.
And then there was some street art inside the marketplace, which was cool.
The sound you can hear in the background is like a fan, because they had to have fans inside. Because remember, it's summer right now. When we went, it was summer, so it was like an average of 30, 35 or 36 degrees every day or something, and humidity was quite high as well. So it's always a bit warm. We came just around the rainy season, but we avoided most of the rain, most of it.
So just checking out the size. This looked like a really nice church. I think they're just renovating it, but I thought I'd take a few clips of it. I think this was me, this is you. This might be you actually.
It might have been me, yeah, just filming what's around the streets, like the street vendors, the church under construction, the traffic, which, what was it, a Sunday evening we came or something, so it's a bit quiet today.
Saying that, there was all these young people just sitting on, I guess, cardboard, and they were just hanging out, and then the street vendors would bring like food or drink. It seemed like a really nice community vibe, really in the capital of this particular city. And then we had this Virgin Mary statue, and there was people praying around it, which was cool. It took a while to cross this road.
Yeah, and also, like, one of the reasons is because we were just landing in Vietnam, so we didn't quite know how to navigate traffic just yet, but we learned fast.
I think it's a nursery. And now at this point we're just exploring the city around our hotel, or the area around our hotel, which was the main city, the main things to see. So it wasn't that far, it was like a 12-minute walk from all the main parts, so even though it was a bit outside the city centre, it's actually very close by to everything.
And we found an Instagram restaurant. It looks nice.
It could be Instagrammable, so it looks good for Instagram. There's no one in here.
Yeah.
But it is late though.
I think at this point it might have been around 9 or 10 p.m. We're just kind of walking around to see, because part of it was we just landed and we didn't want to just go to bed. We were like, yeah, let's get a bit familiar with the city, see what's around, and then we actually ended up in the mini city center. So here we have like a parliament building on the left. The one with the flag above it is the parliament building. And it's absolutely stunning, and it's kind of a landmark. If you're in Ho Chi Minh City and you find that parliament building, you will find most of the city center is kind of centered around there. So you'll find all of the shops very close to there.
It's the People Committee building, or also known as the City Hall.
A fun fact, or, well, if you didn't know, Ho Chi Minh City used to be called Saigon until quite recently, I believed, and then they changed their name to Ho Chi Minh City because they wanted to honor the President Ho Chi Minh, who's a very, very important historical figure in Vietnam, basically gaining their independence and not being in war anymore with the French and with the Americans. So you'll see in a moment there's going to be a statue of him, and whenever we're walking around, there are so many places where there would just be pictures of him everywhere. He's very, very, like, just so important to Vietnam as a country. So he declared their independence in 1945 from, I believe it was the French at the time who had occupied them, or was it the American at that time?
I think mostly the French, but the Americans also got involved at some point. But this is like one of my favorite areas of Vietnam. I love the lights and then the classical look of the city hall building. So you have the lights, then you have this really nice little lily pad, the statue of Ho Chi Minh, and then the city hall building behind it. I think immediately I fell in love with the city just for this area alone. How just calm it was, how like relaxing it was. It was very hot, but it was just a really nice vibe. I really like this shot here with the statue of Ho Chi Minh and then city hall building behind him.
And as you can see, it looks like these flowers have been very recently placed. My guess is they probably make sure these flowers are very nice looking all the time to honor Ho Chi Minh, again because he helped with declaring the independence. I didn't really know much about Vietnam and their history outside of what you hear in history class in European countries, but even what you hear in European countries about history, you know, is always going to be through our lenses. You don't always get both sides of the coins. So I thought it was really just so fascinating to read about how hard he actually worked to try and maintain like peace and independence.
So we are on a roundabout. It's fine. We spot a Lotus. It was not on today. I think it's supposed to be lights and water spraying out. Just opposite a Parliament type building. Yeah, there.
And this is another area. Again, this is another kind of courtyard, I guess, or patch where again people are just hanging out, sitting on the ground, chatting. On a Sunday night, I think in England I would just be ready to go to bed, but these people are so lively, and it's near the Opera House, I believe.
Yeah, the building you see there in the back is the Opera House. I don't think we ever went inside it. I don't know if you can go inside it without having to see an opera. And around it are, again, like kind of like the walking streets, the shopping streets. And I think like just behind the Opera House, like not far away, is that Parliament building. So they're very, very close to each other, with the shopping street just down the road. So it's almost like you're forced to see it if you go into the city center, which is kind of clever.
I don't know why. I thought they were covering the booth with like some sort of shadow, but it's just shadow. Huh?
Louis Vuitton store. Like
Yeah.
a giant Louis Vuitton
You think it's
store.
super cheap there, Louis Vuitton?
Compared to
UK,
England,
yeah.
probably, yeah. This is the conversion rate. We were wrong.
Yeah, it's closed shutters it out.
We saw that it said arcade, and I guess because we were in Japan, we thought it was like similar type arcades.
Yeah, I think it's just we're gonna go that way now. It smells rank. Yeah.
Again, Sunday night, look how busy the streets are, which again I really loved about this. And I don't know, maybe it was summer holidays, so maybe some kids, but I did see some schools And you see that in this later on in the video, there were school trips at the post office. So I think just people like to hang out late because it is so hot during the day. They don't really go out much, so they go out at night and meet up. And one thing about Vietnam I've noticed, they have a really young population. I think that's a really good sign of like things to come for their economy, their culture. It's important like for countries to have a young population. And I think this country has a lot of potential as a result.
I think also you told me before we went that Vietnam is kind of booming in technology right now, like technology inventions. They're like one of the biggest inventors.
Yeah, and textiles. Textiles is very big as well. Like.
Oh yeah. I mean, isn't that the light pollution that's causing the smoke though? Yeah. I don't think they have bubble tea here, man. They have this like yeah. That's really cool.
Again, we're not far from the City Hall building, and it's just a complete change of scene here, and that's why I really liked it. This area is also a lot of fun. Like if I was a young Vietnamese person, I would be here all the time. So much lights. There's the apartment building with all the coffee shops, which we'll show in the next video. And around the Japanese restaurant.
How would you rate your first night in Vietnam?
Yes. Solid so far. Probably 7.2.
Ah.
Going up.
What is good and what is bad?
What is good is I like the nightlife. I like that there's a street food thing. There's so many things open 24/7. And the thing I need to get used to is the way they drive and how to cross confidently like a local. What about you?
I like the nightlife. I like the vibes. Very relaxed but busy, which is nice. I think it's like kind of what I like. Not very clubby, like boom, boom, boom. But everyone's out. Everyone's driving. Sunday night and it's so busy. And midnight right now almost. What I don't like, I think it's just me getting used to like. There's so many things to try, but I don't know how confident I am to try them. Like there's all these food markets, street vendors. You know, there's a guy selling some squid. And I was like, oh, do I want to try it? How do I approach him to try some? So that's fine. The traffic's fine. I'm used to it, kind of like watching videos and stuff. And you know, they're not gonna run you over. So I'm okay with that.
What's your rating?
Probably a nice 7.9, 7.8. There's nothing bad so far. I think tomorrow it will depend on the heat. But I don't think that's the city's fault. People are quite
Ambitious.
I don't know. Like people seem friendly. Like you know, I just talked to a guy with a cat in his bag, a little bit, and he was like, "Yeah, it's a cat." And people smile when you smile at them, which is nice. So yeah, seem pretty like any other country. They're just a bit more, let's go, which is I'm fine with. But I know for you, I'm conscious for you that if you find it a bit too much.
No, it's fine.
And now we found, I thought it was going to be like 7-Eleven. This is a Circle K, which is quite common also in the West. Not in England, but in Denmark, you have Circle K?
Yeah, but it's more like just you get gas. They don't have like the shops. That's just 7-Eleven. So Circle K is kind of similar to 7-Eleven.
But they don't have as much bigger range of snacks as Japan, 7-Elevens and Family Mart. And what's the other one in Japan? Howson's, yeah. But it was cool. We visited a lot because of the water, which was super cheap.
And what I like about Vietnam, you could get water that was like 2 liters with like a little hook, so you carried it around you, like around with you, almost like a bag. Also,
You can get that in the West.
really, I've never seen it in the West. I only really noticed it in Vietnam. You could get those big 2-liter bottles you just carried around. Anyway, I was about to say, I like the architecture in Vietnam. It's very interesting because you have all of these buildings and then all of these plants, and it's just like one moment you look somewhere and it's a very traditional building, and you turn around, then it's flats, then you turn around, then it's shops, then you turn around, then it's a park, and somehow it just works. It just works. And it's so interesting. Here you can see we found a type of street market, Cho Ben Tanh. We made an itinerary and we looked up like, hey, what might be good to see, and a lot of people said, yeah, go to Ben Tanh, the street market.
Yeah, which you'll see when we go inside. I liked it, but you do get, they can see, obviously I'm a foreigner, Alice is a foreigner, and they do hassle you a lot. You can't just stand there and see, they're like, oh, you know, I'll give you this cheap, and do you like this, do you like it, what about this? And it's like, I just want to look. But it makes sense that they're trying to make money, but it's kind of hard to enjoy it. Which is why we didn't record a lot, because we stood there and record, it's just, you just hear their voice just yelling at us, and not yelling in a bad way, but like just trying to sell something. They are very friendly, as you can see here, but
yeah.
It was a bit too much friendliness to record anything.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of when I was in Istanbul and going into the bazaars, where they're always like, come here, come here, come here, you want to see this, do you want to see this? Very similar to that vibe.
Now we're walking down the street. There were some areas of the streets where, yeah, you can still see like independent sellers of mostly souvenirs, but they also like their own stuff. A lot of coffee shops.
How are you finding the heat?
You know, it's actually...
Well, you got umbrella, you got sunglasses, so...
This is a UV umbrella, but I can still feel the humidity. UV umbrella doesn't protect me from humidity.
I'm just gonna stand next to this. It's just all ice melting on me.
I thought I would find it a lot harsher because the humidity index said it was like 80% and over. But I'm doing quite alright actually. But I also took my medicine. I'm being smart, you know?
I take my hay fever medicine, but I don't think it's actually any use here.
No, but like my asthma medicine.
No, me. I take my hay fever medicine. That's a nice breeze though.
Yeah. The breeze helps as well. The thing is, it says it's supposed to be quite windy the next few days.
Yeah.
So even though it's high humidity and in the 30s, there's also a lot of breeze. So it feels a lot like the only point of reference I have for weather like this is Japan, where there wasn't as much of a breeze. This feels like a lot nicer. What do you think?
Yeah, the breeze is not as bad as Japan yet. The breeze helps a lot. I remember when I was in Osaka, it was really hot just to walk out. Like the third day after Universal Studios.
Or the 2 days in university.
Yeah, it was just so hot to even just walk. And this is actually really nice, like for what, almost 10:30, 10, 11 o'clock. It's quite nice. So, yeah, I mean, if the whole day was like this, I could actually go out, I don't need to. But we know when it comes to like 2 o'clock, we're gonna have to find a place to shelter. It's a beautiful cafe.
Here's the roundabout we stood on yesterday. Because we're tourists. It's so nice. Look at that. So because of my job, we can mostly go during school terms, and we went during summer term. And as you can hear on some of our conversations, we do talk about like researching before we go. What's the weather gonna be like? How do we need to prepare for it? Because the thing is, when you look at TikToks or any social media, and this was both for Japan and Vietnam, people will tell you do not go in the summer, and they tell you this because it's so hot and humid. But you can. You just need to be prepared for, hey, you're gonna have to find a shelter for like an hour or two at some point when the heat is at its highest. But that's fine because you can go to the malls, and the malls have a bunch of things that you can just kind of walk around, eat, drink, make sure you stay hydrated. You'll be fine. It's just prepare for it whichever season you go. Go during the summer, no one is there.
I'm a big fan of going in the summer. And also, like, at nighttime it's so lively. So in the day, just go to those malls. So in Vietnam, they had Vincom, loads of Vincom malls, and another brand, I forget the name. But yeah, Lotte Mall, yeah. So those are really cool and really fun to do during the day. They have loads of like places to see, eat. So it's not that bad. But yeah, if you go like between like 9 to 1, you're okay. But I guess like 1 to 4, just find a mall, get a drink, chill out, which is what we did. Which you'll see later in the video. Now we're going to a famous post office, which is right next to their version of like Notre Dame, which we couldn't see because it had a lot of construction happening at that time, which is fine.
And the post office is another one of those we saw when we made our itinerary. A lot of people said go here, it's a good time. It's an old post office that they made into kind of like almost like a museum. So you'll see there's the old post office, and then on the sides there are a bunch of shops, and this was where we saw a tour of school kids, so it was really difficult to like look at the souvenirs, and you'll see why in a moment.
I'm on some school kids YouTube channel, which is a bit random. They were also recording like proper recording material, and then they just pointed at me and waved to me. I'm like, oh, okay, hi.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if it was for their YouTube channel, but I assume it was. They had like proper recording equipment.
Couple getting married.
So this is the post office. A lovely photo of Ho Chi Minh, and it really reminds me. I don't know why, like British imperial style. But I know Britain had nothing to do that much with Vietnam, really. But they had a really like old classic look, which was really nice.
What I think it is when you say English Imperial, it's because English Imperial was inspired by the French, and the French were in Vietnam. I think that's why you think the architecture looks familiar.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like an old phone box.
Yeah. I think you might be right. Oh, like back pins.
Souvenir shop. As you can see, it's very narrow. And then imagine, it's not on our camera, but imagine 12 school kids in there with you. It was difficult to walk around. How are you feeling?
I'm intrigued by what's happening here with this show. This guy dressed up as a traditional female clothing, and this woman dressed up as traditional female clothing. I love her. She's beautiful.
Just on a random stroll from the post office.
Yeah. It doesn't feel very. I don't know if it's not professional, maybe independent, I think. Because if you don't want all these people driving behind you, you blocked it off by now, so I guess they don't have that budget.
Yeah, I guess so. Or maybe they know they can't stop like life for whatever they're doing. Yeah, so we did see later camera crew coming by, so whatever those two were doing related to film. They were 100% shooting something there. And here we have the book alley, another place where people recommended that you go and see, and it's in the name. It's an alleyway full of books, obviously because it's in Vietnam, most of them will be in Vietnamese, but I think there were a few booths, like 1 or 2.
Few what?
Booths.
Oh, booths.
What did you think I said?
Don't worry.
There were a few booths, like 1 or 2 that sold English books, but yeah, obviously most of them will be in Vietnamese because it's in Vietnam. There's also postcards and art There was I took a picture of it. I don't think it's in this video. If it isn't, maybe I'll ask Cheshire to see if he can edit it in. But there was this picture of a board with some cats that said welcome or something for this. It was quite fun. So there was a lot of fun art just around the cafes.
Hello.
Oh, there it is. I didn't see it. That was the one. And obviously they also sold the anime. I don't know if you... It might come later, but Conan was really big, but that was because there was a Conan, Detective Conan anime film coming up. So that was just everywhere. And now we are going to a... it's like a museum, Parliament building museum type thing. And it was really, really incredible. This was not part of our research, because when you go on social media, they'll show you the Instagrammable places more than the historical places. So the historical places we found on our own, and this is a museum, a Parliament building museum. Just so incredible. If you go to Vietnam, definitely go and see it.
It's actually the palace. It's the Independence Palace. I don't know why it's called a palace, but it is because it's very, very political rather than royal. But yeah, it's the palace where Ho Chi Minh, I think it was the other side, the one who was more of capitalism. They stayed here, tried to maintain their ground before the communists took over. We're really fascinated. A lot of history, loads of beautiful rooms.
Yeah, I remember now. It is called a palace, but it was used for parliamental things. It was used for like political things. So political visitors would come here. These are the rooms they would stay in and have their meetings about whatever they disagreed about. And they had like a lot of meeting rooms, all beautiful. This is one of the meeting rooms where they could all sit. It's an oval room. They sit, they make their decisions. So I'm finding here, during the Vietnamese War, the Independence Palace served as the residence and office of South Vietnamese President Nguyen Van Thieu, and now it's a historical monument, and it witnessed the change in Saigon history.
I think this was a cinema room, I think I would recall, or theatre room.
Yeah. Imagine that, just having a private stage theatre. But yeah, if you go to Vietnam, definitely go and visit the Independence Palace. It is really fascinating. Beautiful rooms, beautiful views. And you learn so much about the history and like what happened in Vietnam. Me telling a fly to get away from me because I was trying to film and it kept just buzzing in my ear. That's why this camera is a bit weird now.
There are flies up here, man. You just filmed this way, we don't have to cross.
One thing I like about Ho Chi Minh City is how close everything is. But when we went to Landmark 81, which you'll see in a follow-up video, how big the city is. I felt like, wow, did we see everything? But I guess the main thing you want to see as a tourist is all concentrated in one area, one or two areas. I think they call it District 1, District 2, District 3. I can't remember which districts these were, but I think maybe 2 and 3. But the city is actually massive. I think there's so many people living, there's so many high rises and flats. And now here we are, off to get our first banh mi, which is quite close to our hotel, and it was really good.
It was our lunch. I believe this must have been just before 2 p.m. because the heat was picking up and we were quite hungry because we hadn't eaten since around 8:30 where we had our breakfast. So that banh mi really hit. We got 2. We got a beef and a chicken. They were both very good.
That's my chicken one. Oh no, that's the beef one. I don't think I took a photo of the chicken one. And then we started going mall hopping a little bit. I found like a small mall here. Had really nice greenery, loads of little nice cafes, and again independent shops. I think they're independent.
What was interesting about this mall is that it was kind of outdoorsy. So we thought we were gonna get like, oh yeah, a bigger mall, AC mall, and then we went in and it's like, oh, it's still kind of outdoorsy. It still feels a bit humid. So we walked around for a bit and just checked it out. It was it was quite interesting. But you can see that this area inside with like food, but it's like no one is there. No one is really out at this time because it's so hot. Yeah, this was a big Vincom mall, I believe. And we just kind of walked around looking for like snacks, looking for drinks. Because even though we had lunch, when you're in a very hot country, you sweat a lot. Despite how much you drink, and so you get a bit more hungry, I would say. You're always a bit snacky. where I am, get snacky really fast in hot countries.
And the good thing about Vietnam, there's food everywhere. Like there's just so much food. But what caught my eye was this bakery. It's just, you could smell it. It was such a strong smell, and it smelled so good, like just cooked butter.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the video that yeah, my nose brought me to here. Okay, it smells nice. Fun Danish pudding, Danish. Yeah. Cooking.
Warm butter or butter on warm bun smell. I think we actually went away from this place to see if there was anything else and then came back later.
I forgot about that cat one. I wonder why I didn't pick that up. But yeah, here we are, just looking at other stuff. A lot of stores, which remind me a lot of in Japan. There's like, especially in train station, you get like this kind of area of like stores selling cakes, selling sweets, selling bentos. It just gave me that familiar vibe.
Cheshire practicing his Vietnamese. The 2 phrases we learned, which was hi and thanks.
So we have some anime stuff here.
Yeah, it was a toy shop that we checked out because they had a lot of like gacha things.
Ah. Kan du huska behind Pikachu? Skal vi skrive?
Without seeing that, and I was like, who is that?
Oh, yo, 어디 하나 이게 예hin한 야구세.
Also, more, I think, what time is it now? It's like maybe 4-ish? So the heat has gone down just a little bit, but when you step out of a mall after that high heat, you can feel it.
Again, this is like one of my favorite areas, which I showed earlier in the video, where it was on one night. And we're going towards the apartment building, which you'll see in the next video.
Stay tuned.
Is that a dog? That is a dog. It looks so high.